Wow. All I've got to say is wow. So, for those of you who don't know, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated on the Nintendo Switch got patch 1.0.4 today. A few days after the other consoles. And, it's been 4 months since the last big patch from, THQ Nordic and Purple Lamp for Rehydrated. And, I was really excited for this patch because there's a lot of hype around it, like what could they improve, what could they do, especially for the Switch version, since the Switch version is still very, very rough, very, very, not that great. So, now, we get the patch come out today for the Switch, and, THQ Nordic tweeted about it, but they retweeted the languages tweet, where they added a new language, and that immediately struck a fear with me, because there's no patch notes, per se. They just retweeted the language tweet, where they added I forget what language they added, but regardless, they added a new language. So they retweeted that, rather than having patch notes, so that immediately made me think, oh no, it's going to be just the languages. And sure enough, it was just the languages. And here's the thing, right? Let me preface this by saying, as someone who primarily plays the Nintendo Switch, and the Switch version of Battle for Bikini Bottom is the only version I have, I still have not played a great version of Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I've played through the game, I think, 3 times now. Each one better than the last, granted, but there are still loads and loads and loads of issues riddling that game. And THQ Nordic themselves gave us a feedback form that we could use to tell them the problems that we come across, and I definitely utilized the hell out of that thing. Specifically, obviously, for the Switch version, and I know hundreds of you guys have as well, because I know there are so many people like me who only have the Switch version of the game. Plain and simple, right? So, now we're to the point where the game came out almost 6 months ago. 6 months ago, right? Back in June. And the last patch was 4 months ago. And this latest patch, which took 4 months to do, only includes languages. I'm going to go into all the problems I still have in Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, because there's a lot of them. Like, I played the game for about half an hour, just exploring the levels, just testing out what I know isn't good, and seeing if they improved it at all. And I can tell you that there is not a damn thing that Purple Lamp improved. In fact, some things somehow got worse. Seriously! Here's the thing, right? Usually, sometimes on some levels, things like the Duplicatrons or the checkpoints don't load properly with the textures. But now that I played, every single one that I came across had that issue, where the textures weren't loading properly on it. The checkpoints and the Duplicatrons, every single one. And it's just ridiculous. Like, the checkpoints, like, how do you mess the checkpoints and the Duplicatrons? Two of the most common things in the game. The buttons as well. Like, how, those are the most common items and things in the game. The tiki textures as well. Just, how? These are the most common objects in the game. How are these the things that don't look good? The freaking title screen! You can't see it too well, but I'm going to put a picture here. The texture screen! The pineapple looks horrible. The Spongebob models textures are all mushy and horrible. How? How did you make it worse? They made it worse! I am befuddled. I am absolutely... I don't get it. And one of the first places I went to test out if the game got improved at all, the first place I went to was Sand Mountain. I mean, come on, there's nowhere else that you could go to see if the game improved than Sand Mountain, right? But no, it didn't get any better. In fact, I don't even want to say it got worse, because Sand Mountain was already really bad. You couldn't really get much worse than it already was. But it was really, really bad. It was something where Like, all the signs were just completely muddled. Hans wasn't fixed at all. Like that's just mind-blowing to me. Hans is still, like, awful. Sometimes he'll show up, sometimes he won't. The camera doesn't stop so he can come and grab you. Like, that was so perfectly done in the original game. I don't know how they couldn't replicate it at all in Rehydrated. It seemed like a really simple thing. Just have the whole scene stop, the hand comes in, the character model goes with the hand. I don't get what's really hard about that. And like I said, the textures as well. Oh my god, the signs are horrible. Even in levels where they weren't horrible before. Jellyfish Fields, for instance. I don't know what happened to Jellyfish Fields. Jellyfish Fields, I remember my first time playing, it looked fine besides the texture pop-in, but it ran horribly. Now it runs okay, not amazing, but now it looks awful. The textures on nothing loads. The Spongebob model texture doesn't load, the button texture doesn't load, the signs texture doesn't load. Like, how can you have all of these bad textures here? And another level that really suffered was the Murmur layer. The Murmur layer looks like a hot mess now. Buttons, textures are horrible. The Duplicatron textures, horrible. The freaking conveyor belt textures were just not good at all. Like, just, I don't know how you can mess it up. And of course, that's the same for levels like Downtown Bikini Bottom, where the signage was always kind of hit or miss. You know, and I had an instance in Downtown Bikini Bottom where there are these two tikis that are, like, not too far into the background, but I take 2 steps forward and they disappear, and then I go back and they reappear. So the texture pop in, not fixed at all. I just don't get, and that's just on the visual side of things, by the way. I haven't even gone into the other issues that I've come across. First of all, the sound effects for certain things. You all know this one. In Goo Lagoon, when you die, right? When you die in Goo Lagoon, at least in the first part of Goo Lagoon, when you have the little towers that make that loud sound effect, you know, where it's like ear-piercing, like the ring sound effect that's ear-piercingly loud. Yeah, that's still there. That didn't change at all. Why would they change it, right? It's absolutely amazing having your ears bleed. What about the bubble bowl? Where if you're rolling your bubble bowl for really long, the sound effect will just stop. It'll just dead stop. Nothing more, no more, just done. Nope, they didn't fix that either. What about the issue with the bubble bowl where if you hit a tiny pebble on the ground, the bubble bowl will just go flying, which is a real issue, especially in Murmur layer. Nope, that is still there as well. It just blows my mind that these little issues, after the game being out for 6 months, with 4 patches, with this one being 4 months in the making, this stuff isn't fixed. You know, if it takes a little while for them to fix the graphical bugs, okay, fine. But the little issues, like the sound effects, you know, and the bubble bowl physics, the fact that that kind of stuff is not fixed at all, that bothers me. If this patch fixed the things like the sound effect with the bubble bowl, the light tower sound effect in Goo Lagoon, the Hans stuff, if that kind of stuff was fixed, but the graphics were still a little rough, okay, I'd accept it, because there are fixes there. There are actual things improved. But we don't get any of that with this new patch. Literally nothing. Even levels that were fine before. Freaking Squidward's Dream in the SpongeBob's Dream level. They somehow the pictures of Squidward out in the environment are blurry, are like not good, not loaded in properly. And it's just like, how? It was fine before, from what I remember. I never remember that being an issue. It didn't bother me before. Even if the textures were a little rough, I didn't notice it before. But now, oh my god, it's horrible. And I didn't even go to Kelp Forest. Actually, no, I did go to Kelp Forest, actually. I did. And that level was really rough. The porta potty was all blurred out. Like, it's just, anything that has any kind of texture, even Goo Lagoon! Goo Lagoon is really bad as well. The lifeguard stands, you can't read lifeguard. It's just mind-blowing. Just truly mind-blowing how little Purple Lamp have done. It makes me wonder if they're actually really going to fix this game. Like, for the Switch. Because the Xbox, PlayStation, PC versions, let's be honest, they're really fine at this point. Little minor things with those games. But the Switch version is still very rough. And the fact that after 4 months of waiting for another patch, all we get is a new language, to me, that's just unacceptable. That is literally unacceptable. You know, THQ Nordic and Purple Lamp have been very quiet about this game for the past few months. Really have been really quiet. So the fact that this patch only has a new language, that definitely rubs my fur the wrong way. And it definitely makes me fear for the future of the game. Like, if we had to wait 4 months for this patch and all it introduced was a new language, honestly, Switch users, like, I got nothing. Like, Purple Lamp, THQ Nordic, if you somehow managed to watch this, I have been a huge supporter of you guys throughout this whole entire thing, right? Pre-release, you know, then release, then patch. I remember getting comments on a lot of my analysis videos where I was like, oh, this looks really rough, this looks really rough. And people will say, oh, it'll look great when the final game comes out. Look where we're at now. You know, it's truly disappointing, THQ. It's truly disappointing. I really want to love this game. I really want to devote all my hours to playing this game. But with how unpolished it is on the Switch, and after 6 months and a 4-month-long wait for another patch, it's just disappointing. So, that's all I've got to say. That's all I can say. You know, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Yeah. So, until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.